Hello, dear friends. Sometimes I spend hours looking for a good topic, and this time I found more than I expected. Knowing that the future of humankind is magnificent helps us to bear the heavy burden of the present and encourages us to work towards the paradise we all desire. The goal is certain, but the road to get there is still uncertain, and there may be bends and potholes. Opinion piece. The future is glorious. A positive end result is already predetermined. Looking Glass project reveals a magnificent future. All timelines converge on the defeat of evil. That doesn't mean they won't try to delay it as long as possible. They know it, but they are trying to take as many with them as they can. Nike denies links to Satan's snakers and Zeus artists. Spanish government makes it mandatory to wear a mask outdoors even if you are alone. Mouse plague hits eastern Australia after killing cats. Supermoon of worms helped unblock Suez Canal from tidal surge. Dozens of UFOs chased US destroyers off California. Financial system may be about to reset, but IMF talks of growth. Let's start. The famous secret project to see the future, called Looking Glass, which means spyglass, reveals future timelines converging on humankind's mass awakening and the defeat of evil, according to Mike Adams' March 30th status update. The project is a secret government program based on exotic technology that allows scientists to query the future and get answers in terms of probabilities and certainty statistics. This amazing technology, according to several whistleblowers whose videos are available on Brayton.com, reveals that all future timelines have converged on a single track with a single outcome, and that outcome is awakening and ascension. God wins and evil is defeated. It's important to note that we have already passed the point of convergence in these timelines, which means that there is nothing more left for the children of darkness, the slime and regressive forces, to do to stop the final victory of good over evil. That doesn't mean they won't try to cause as much pain, suffering, and destruction as possible in their last remaining moves, but the final outcome, the final result, is already predetermined. Secret experiment. The Looking Glass project was for many years a secret experiment. Several scientists declared with evidence that this project was real and is still being done, hand in hand with scientific groups opposed to the current scientific regime. This is one of the largest concealment of humankind, since everything about the project has to do with history, science, and technology. Hollywood movies have been made that show us the idea and principles of the experiment. A sample of this is the movie Contact with Jodie Foster, with a colossal apparatus made of sacred geometry, and that would be in the subsoil of several powers. Contact is an American science fiction drama film directed by Robert Zemeckis in 1997. It is an adaptation of Carl Sagan's 1985 novel of the same name. Sagan and his wife, Anne Druyan, wrote the film's story outline. Jodie Foster plays the film's protagonist, Dr. Eleanor Arroway, Ellie, a SETI scientist who finds solid evidence of extraterrestrial life and is chosen to make first contact. Description. It's not that they put someone in a time machine and send them off. It's rather the vision that the person can get inside a device called looking glass. It would be a device that would be hidden in subway bases and would have colossal dimensions. It would consist of a kind of barrel where a person would stay, surrounded by rings that move in different directions. Such machinery would be an extension of our pineal gland, or esoterically known as the third eye. The Looking Glass project would have materialized through reverse engineering with otherworldly technology. The device mimics the functioning of the pineal gland as follows. When activated, the things rotate around each other in different directions, forming a shield and protecting the water inside the barrel, which is like the pineal gland. The water inside reverses the space-time dimension, moving into space-time, which then captures the argon gas. It captures images and produces a large sphere of light, which is contained by the rings around it that are used to contain the energy field. Meanwhile, inside the barrel is a person sitting in a chair, which enhances his or her brain capabilities. When the device is turned on, the person connected to the barrel by means of the chair begins to have visions of future years, of which she or he gives an account once the experiment is over. UFO revelation. Dozens of UFOs chased US Navy destroyers offshore. Several UFOs repeatedly chased Navy destroyers off the coast of California in July 2019. News portal The Tribe reports, citing ship logs, up to 6 UFOs flew around the warship at once in awful low visibility conditions near the northern archipelago of the coast of California over several days, with the mysterious flying objects flashing and prompting safety protocol to be activated aboard the ships. The UFO incident took place near San Clemente Island, which is home to military installations, including a Navy SEAL training site. The UFOs triggered a chain reaction, which immediate inquiries from Navy and FBI investigators and intelligence officials, including a special agent from the Naval Investigative Service, the FBI's Los Angeles Field Office, and the directors of the 3rd Fleet's Maritime Intelligence Operations Center. The Esoteric Paranormal World portal reveals. Aeronautics and astronautics. Arion introduces a supersonic aircraft for 50 passengers and a Mach 4 speed. The aircraft will have a range of 13,000 kilometers and could cover the distance between Tokyo and Los Angeles in 3 hours. Arion Supersonic, a US company that has embarked on the development of a family of supersonic airliners, has unveiled a new project, the AS-3 Mach 4 Plus aircraft, designed for 50 passengers and a range of almost 13,000 kilometers. SpaceX Starship rocket explodes again. This is the 4th consecutive rocket test failure since December. SpaceX Starship SN-11 prototype rocket exploded Tuesday upon landing in Boca Chica, Texas, while performing a flight test. This is the 4th consecutive rocket test failure since December. The rocket soared more than 9 kilometers and descended horizontally over the Gulf of Mexico before adopting a vertical position to make the landing, the failed landing. Satellite explodes. A US weather satellite that was retired 8 years ago has mysteriously exploded in orbit, breaking apart into at least 16 pieces of space junk. The satellite, named NOAA-17 after the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, was launched in 2002 and decommissioned in 2013 after its instruments began to fail. Russia warms up the boosters for Luna 25, the probe that will lay the foundation for lunar colonization. Russia plans to launch Luna 25, an automated probe destined to land near the Moon's south pole in October. This will be the first soft lunar landing in the difficult conditions of the southern polar zone ever in the history of space exploration. The main objectives are to explore the resources of Earth's natural satellite, confirm the presence of water, and analyze the composition of the lunar soil. The crucial moment is the landing in the polar zone, characterized by rough terrain, high concentration of craters and rocks, making the landing a real challenge. Indirect measurements from Earth have indicated the presence of large reservoirs of water ice precisely in the polar regions. Spain. Mask obligatory outdoors in Spain. Masks are once again obligatory outdoors in Spain, no matter how far away we are from each other. The use of face masks is officially mandatory throughout the Spanish territory. The government of Spain made it official that the use of face masks for people over 6 years of age must be mandatory on public roads and enclosed space open to the public and in public and private transport. Madrid oasis of freedom. In Madrid, the real party starts at 11 p.m. when the bars close and the curfew begins. It is then when groups of young and polyglot rebels from Italy, Holland, Germany, and above all France join the young Spaniards in the narrow streets of the old part of Madrid in search of illicit fun. Most of them are in their early 20s and are eager to enjoy themselves in the Spanish capital, as they have not been able to have fun in their cities for months because of restrictions. Morocco suspends flights with Spain, and some 3,000 Spaniards are trapped there. The Alawite Kingdom has cut off air communication with dozens of countries due to the detection of new variants of the bug in its territory. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs will try to evacuate by boat the Spaniards trapped there. A metallic monolith appears on a beach in Girona. A metallic monolith of more than 2 meters has appeared this Tuesday in the middle of the beach of Sa Conca in Girona. The figure is very similar to the one found in Utah desert in November 2020. The courts annul half of the traffic fines. The number of rulings in favor of fine drivers have grown by 14 percentage points over the last 3 years. 1 out of every 2 traffic fines appealed are overturned by the courts. The S-81 is a Pearl submarine, the first of 100% Spanish design and construction, will be launched on April 22nd. It is the first submarine of the S-80 series delivered to the Spanish Navy, which is considered one of the most advanced in the world, only one step behind nuclear submarines. 260 years after the birth of Goya, Spain's most introspective and influential universal painter, technically ahead of this time but conditioned by the historical moment in which he lived, Francisco de Goya introduced psychological analysis and an innovative style in his works. The King and Queen of Spain presided over the commemoration ceremony in his hometown, Fuendetodos. His work is present in museums and galleries around the world. U.S. criticizes press censorship in Spain. A text prepared by the State Department, which analyzes the human rights situation in different territories, criticizes certain Spanish political figures for their treatment and attacks on the prince. United States. US. 13 countries question integrity of back origin study. The United States on Tuesday joined more than a dozen other nations in expressing shared concerns about a World Health Organization study of the origins of the disease, pointing to the report's delay and lack of access to crucial data. Nike denies links to Satan's sneakers, shoes manufacturer. The famous sports brand is accusing the makers of the controversial product of trademark infringement with negative consequences for its image. Nike lawyers filed a trademark infringement lawsuit Monday in federal court against Brooklyn-based MSCHF after the company, in collaboration with rapper Lil Nas X, released controversial Satan shoes that allegedly contain human blood. The singer, whose real name is Montero Lamar Hill, used Nike Air Max 97 shoes to manufacture his peculiar design. However, the famous sports brand has denied any link with that project and points out that the controversial product is creating confusion among its customers and damages its image. Economy. IMF forecasts global growth. International Monetary Fund Managing Director Kristalina Georgieva said Tuesday that the outlook for global growth has improved since January with the help of the $1.9 billion US bailout package. Georgieva said that the IMF's updated economic forecast, to be released next week, will show the pace of growth in the global economy exceeding the 5.5% projected at the beginning of the year. In quotes, the financial system would be about to restart. Only 11 days would be left for the restart precepts. That is a personal opinion. From 11 days, the whole world would be about to reboot or to restart everything according to a forecast I don't believe in. This is the bold information that a newly released video makes. It explains that the reset would be being done by the Chinese simply because the Rothschilds and the 13 banking families are still toying with the Western reset. China says, go ahead, Rothschild, destroy the Western banking system. We'll create our own. So the Rothschilds and their bankers would have basically had themselves, and now they would force them down. I don't think this forecast will come true, but nothing is impossible. All this opinion is in quotes. Dollar hegemony hurts gold holders. All currencies substitute for real money, i.e. gold, writes the financial news portal FX Empire. However, the US dollar became an intermediary between other currencies at Merrill. Wall Street falls, with technology the biggest drag. US stocks closed slightly lower on Tuesday, with investors selling technology-related growth stocks after Treasury yields hit a 40-month high. Credit Suisse line of fire after Archegos losses. Pressure was mounting on Credit Suisse over losses linked to Archegos capital's fall, with analysts warning that its dividend and share buyback plans could be put on hold, and investors advised to vote against management pay. Worms and earthworms. Bizarre earthworm tornado baffles scientists. An unusual earthworm tornado passed through the U.S. town of Hoboken, New Jersey, last week, leaving scientists baffled. On March 25th, after a rain shower A Hoboken resident was strolling throughout the park when she came across hundreds of earthworms on her way, most of which were scattered in a kind of spiral. Supermoon of worms helped unblock the Suez Canal. Sunday's so-called supermoon of worms caused a higher spring tide of 46 centimeters above normal on Monday, according to NASA. That tide facilitated the process of righting and unclogging the large ship, the agency added. Native tribes in the southern U.S. call the March full moon the warm moon because earthworms, the soil that worms digest, become visible as the ground melts at this time of the year. Large-scale military operation. Rafale has confirmed that the Evergreen case is a military operation by land, sea and air, according to a channel linked to the round letter. It has also been confirmed that there were military rescue ships from the very day the ship ran aground, and there is also talk that there are dozens of Evergreen Company ships anchored off the coast of California without daring to dock at any port. The Al Jazeera agency said that some people were found on the ship, but withdrew the news immediately. Navy SEAL Michael Jacko says Evergreen's ship will be a major revelation of the slug. The pilots of these vessels don't make mistakes like this one, in his opinion, and the wind wouldn't stick it like that in the side of the bank either. In their view, this boat deliberately ran aground. According to Mark A. Baughman, the Evergreen ship was trapped in the Suez Canal to reveal much, and over 1,000 people were rescued inside containers. The ship's pilot was an ally, but holes in Microsoft's software allowed the ship's software to be hacked, take over the steering and run aground. It was also carrying weapons of mass destruction for Islamists to start a war in the Middle East. He added that there will be a meeting with all countries except the Five Eyes to initiate all asset-backed currencies and precious metals. This is to bring to public view the fiat money system that caused artificial inflation. Egypt's president says Nile waters untouchable. Egyptian President Abdul Fattah el-Sisi said Tuesday that his country's share of the Nile River waters is untouchable. A stack warming apparently aimed to Ethiopia, which is building a huge dam on the Nile's main tributary. First post-quantum cryptography library. The Institute of Technology Innovation, the applied research pillar of the Abu Dhabi Advanced Technology Research Council, announced that the Cryptography Research Center has launched the first post-quantum cryptography software library in the United Arab Emirates. Introverted bosses, the new paradigm of silent leadership. Although confidence and extroversion are some of the main qualities associated with a good leader, they are not necessarily the most valued by employees. In this context of global crisis, other more thoughtful and reflective leadership alternatives are emerging, willing to listen to the team. Will we all be toxic people? Scientists do not rule out that humans may one day become venomous. Mammalian salivary glands and snake venom glands share a common genetic basis. A new study indicates, although an unlikely scenario, mice and even humans have the potential to become venomous someday, given the right ecological conditions to do so. Research by scientists of Okinawa Institute of Science and Technology Graduate University and the Australian National University concludes. What happens to our body when you eat hot sauce? When we eat hot sauce, capsaicin hits the neurotransmitters on our tongue and sends pain signals to the brain. The itching we experience is just a perception that our tongue is burning, when in fact our taste buds are unharmed. You feel as if your whole body is becoming noticeably warmer. The temperature actually rises in a process called thermogenesis and contributes to a temporary increase in metabolic rate. If the sauce is very hot, you may start sweating or breathing rapidly. Thus, the body cools down. There may also be an increase in mucus and saliva production. South America. Colombia deploys more troops on the border with Venezuela as tensions escalate. The border between Colombia and Venezuela is experiencing one of the most violent episodes in recent years, after a Colombian armed group entered the neighboring country illegally. The confrontation between Venezuelan military and what appears to be Colombian guerrillas has led Bogotá to reinforce the border. The flying potato rich in antioxidants. This carbohydrate, which has vitamin C, can be eaten boiled in soups, roasted, mashed or baked. The flying potato's name is a challenge even to its very nature, because although it is also a tuber with a high nutritional content, it does not grow underground, does not fly, and is not exactly a potato. The air potato, bejuco potato, green potato, Indian potato, or air yam is also known, is scientifically called Discoria bulbifera, L, and belongs to the yam family, a climbing plant which starchy and edible tubers of African and Asian origin, possibly consumed in America since pre-Hispanic times. Despite the curiosity aroused by its particular name, its cultivation is little known or underutilized. In countries such as Colombia, Cuba, Mexico, and Panama, because its antioxidant properties are not widely promoted, as well as its planting process. Australia. Mice plague instant Australia after killing cats. Large rural communities in New South Wales, Australia's oldest and most populous state, are being overrun by thousands of mice, according to a recent Life Science report. No wonder after killing cats. Chilling images online showed that the rodents are invading homes and entering barns. There are also some images showing mice littering local beaches, and the pesky creatures are eating everything in sight. The plague is a massive blow to farmers in the region, some of whom have lost their crops to the pests almost overnight. Residents have had to deal with mice scratching food in their cupboards, running inside their homes at night, leaving droppings of their pillowcases, and even placing nests inside their furniture. Some hotels also had to close because mice were infesting rooms. Even supermarkets weren't safe, with the staff trapping hundreds of mice at a night. Hospitals in New South Wales have begun to step up their bait and trap procedures to keep the mice away. Most hospitals put up odor repellents, sealed doors and windows that mice could access, increased the frequency of food waste disposal, and blocked drainage holes and other cavities. Victimism. We know that you have often felt that you are stuck on Earth, that you are part of a karmic cycle, and that you are looking to get it right so that you can break free from the wheel. Others believe that you are living in a simulation that is controlled by something or some force external to you, and the theories go on and on according to the Arcturian Council. There is something compelling about you being the victims yourselves, and that is why we see so much victimhood being packaged and sold to you. As curious beings, of course, you would want to know what it feels like to be a victim, but only for a while, just until you awaken to the truth of your eternal and infinite nature. So, if you are in a matrix, it is your own making. No one has forced you to be there, and we have taken it upon ourselves to empower you, and that means we will continue to remind you of who you really are, and also remind you that the journey you are on is long and illogical at times, because you crave experiences as curious beings. You don't have to earn your way into the fifth dimension. You just have to be more curious about that than you are about some story I tell you about artificial intelligence or other villains out there, making it all seem real. Yes, it's an illusion from a certain perspective, but again, you are creating the illusion. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.